Hello, 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 and welcome my patrons on Patreon, patreon.com/drawing the circle, and everybody else on the internet that catches it after my patrons have it. Blessed full moon in Aries at the time of this recording. Fed the cats. They're doing their thing. I will pause this video if there is some feline antics, if not feline intervention. So thank you so much for joining me. We got a simple spell for self for this Aries moon, October 2022. But before I dive in, I do want to say it doesn't matter what day, what time, where the moon is, where Uranus is. It doesn't matter. You could do this spell anytime, anywhere. Anyhow, you choose to do it. That's why it is a simple spell, not a complex stuff. Like even in my usual setup, if you've been watching these for a while, I usually have a full altar setup. I don't have fire, earth, air, water on the table. I just have the things I want to do. To put some selenite down. It's a full moon, full moon. Got your selenite going. But this is definitely a pared down experience. So let's get into it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I got my checklist on my cell phone, an unlisted Google Doc that all of my patrons and my friends in the Angelo, Lyons, for short, private Facebook group have access to. Yeah, I'm hearing feline intervention. I will pause this if necessary. In the background, I do have the sounds of a crackling campfire in the background. I thought it was a nice little background, so it's not static or anything like that. It might sound like that, though. So I got my checklist. Let's get down to it. Let's see how much I can get done before the cats take over. Welcome. Check. We're going to have the statement of purpose, which is very simple. Making a simple spell for ourselves individually. We're going to talk a little bit about basic crystal and stone magic, if you choose to use one, but really seriously, more importantly, simple magic in itself. Simple spells is an art unto itself. The simple point and shoot frog is a very, very ancient one, as is pig in ancient language. Thank you, Cersei Madeline Miller. And we're going to keep our sense of humor about it because it is a full moon in Aries, first sign of the zodiac, the child. So we're going to go with it. And we're going to talk a little bit about, the actual full moon astrology itself. Full moon in Aries, cardinal fire. The sun is in Libra, cardinal air. So the two of those go very well. Again, opposing forces, but complementary, air and fire. We're going to talk about simple magic in and of itself. And the tools. Tools are not optional for this spell at all. It's actually written into the spell that you don't need one, but you can fill in the blank if you like, if you want to use any old thing at all for the purpose of the video. I have a tea light and some essential oil on it. We'll talk about that when we get there. That is otherwise the only tool, except for some of my own magical jewelry that I'm going to enchant without cleansing, consecrating, and empowering it like I would do in other spell work videos, etc. The working, just going to conjure sacred space, right? Not going to devote the altar because there's not really an altar set up here, fire, earth, air, water, and spirit. But I certainly have spells for sacred space on hand. One that I say every time I do this, as well as another one that's a bit more classic. We'll get to that. Not going to cleanse and consecrate a tool like I usually do because there's no need to. Certainly you could do that or just watch some of the other videos. It's very, very easy to cleanse, consecrate, and empower anything. And of course we would be anointing the optional tool if we wanted to. I'm not using a magical tool, although I do have my totems for my gods of Aries here on the table to sort of that they be carriers and touchstones, not necessarily magical tools because I wear them quite a bit. So, but don't need it because when I read the spell, you'll see why. There's a line in there that really it makes it much more open-ended, and it's a very fill-in-the-blank spell, a Mad Lib spell, right? You can totally alter it any way you want, but we'll get there when we get there. We're going to do our opening prayer, just meditation thingy, just because, where have you been, right? Leave all that behind for a bit. Where are you going? We don't really know. So just to be here now to settle in, I'll pop up a picture, put in some music so you can close your eyes. You won't be missing any, visual pyrotechnics. So let's do this. Please get yourself comfortable in a position you can stay in for, 5 minutes, maybe less. And close your eyes and breathe, right? The simplest thing. Simplest thing to do, just rest for a minute. Check in with your body for any place that feels, like it needs a little extra movement, a little stretch, a little tense and release. I like to start at the top of my head and make my way down. I know where my usual spots are. The neck, the shoulders, the lower back tend to be where I hold tension. So as an act of self-care and self-healing for this simple spell for self, starting it right now, so that the body can just relax and rest and settle in for a few minutes. And now just focus on your breath. Whatever pattern or depth or process you want to do, do it. Cardinal air, Libra, creative air, the sun right now in complementary opposition to creative fire of Aries, cardinal fire. So just breathe. Nothing simple, nothing fancy unless you want it to be. But really just to bring us into the present moment, the self, the center, the still point. And it's from this place I offer this simple prayer. I call to our collective pantheons of the divine, however we may define that individually and collectively. I call them my guides, masters, teachers, gods, goddesses, saints, angels, totems, healers, ancestors, and higher selves all the way back to the divine singularity, the Tao without name, the pregnant void, the mother of all, source, to surround each and every one of us in a force field of light, watching this whenever they watch this, containing and protecting this working that we do, a simple working. So I ask that all information and energy that exchanges between all of us, here and now or whenever they are watching this, that it do so clearly, cleanly, and for the well-being of all. Because it is often a very simple act that changes everything. Simple need not imply easy. And as ever, please use me. Make me the channel of guidance, grace, love, wisdom, power, magic, miracles, and mysticism. I incarnated into this life to be by sacred contract. The fulfillment of the divine plan, which I have no idea what that is, because it's better than anything I can even imagine or conceive. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that I am signed up for the divine plan of permanent paradise, planet Earth, heaven on earth, whatever you want to call it, the next world, here, whatever, a place of unity, a place of joy, a place of peace, a place where wonders never cease, for the well-being of all. Thank you. So let it be. And so it is. Take a minute. It wasn't terribly long. This feels like a quickie. We're going to do it makes sense for an Aries full moon piece of magic. Again, hold on one second, boys. What's going on over there? Splashing around in the water cube fountain thing. Go lay down, Sabby. You crabby Sabby, my Cancerian. Yeah, mother's work. Never done. Okay, we did our opening statement. Yeah, it doesn't matter when you do this one. You don't have to wait until the next Aries full moon to pull this off. This can be a daily, an hourly, a monthly, set whenever you feel like you need it. So yeah, we're going to be making a simple spell for self, and we'll talk about what that is. Part of our statement of purpose, as well as talk a little bit about, basic magic, right? Like if you're going to use a stone, if you're going to use a crystal, an herb, whatever, a perfume, an essential oil, a statue, whatever. It might be a little hard to carry a statue around depending on the size of it. But certainly it's a fun thing to explore. And in my book, Spell Ingredients from a Professional Witch, available only on Patreon right now. I don't know if I want to make it a Kindle. We'll see. But it's on there. It's a very, very easy process. Simple spells, obviously not as involved with all the paraphernalia and all the tools and the toys, which are fun. And they're great and whatever. So let's talk about the astrology. The full moon in Aries. Aries moon, cardinal fire, creative fire, the ram, the first sign of the zodiac, initiations, right? Creative fire, the ability to take desire and move it into action, create something with it rather than destroy with it. There's the balance on that one. Shadow to light, lead to gold, however you want to do that. And it is opposing, as I said, the sun in Libra, 7th house dynamic ruled by Venus. So we do have the Mars-Venus opposition here. But also cardinal air. So imagine breathing balanced creative air into creative fire. You really have something that can be very powerful, and your own self-fire, right? Your own will, your own power, your own strength, your own heart's desires, all of that stuff is in the element of fire in that way. And you know, I have Saturn retrograde in Aries in the 9th house. It's generational Saturn, you know. It was retrograde at the time. So, you know, really important that I work for myself and not other people, that's for damn sure. My Saturn return was a doozy. I started drawing the circle right after my Saturn return. So you can kind of feel the, maybe not volatility, but the power and the creativity of this particular full moon, just to say, because the first house is the ego, the personality, and the self. So, regardless of what planet you have in your first house, that's your rising, you can kind of piece that together astrologically in a very basic way. Let's talk a little bit about simple spells. Like I said, the good old point and shoot. You know, Piper Halliwell did not have to say anything to, you know, freeze them or blow them up like fire or ice. Very, very easy. Good old point and shoots. I freak friends out when I freeze yellow lights and move people out of the lane in front of me. It's just a gentle blessing of a push, right? You know, that's all it is. And they're like, that was really cool. Don't ever do it with me in the car again, right? It's simple. It takes practice, though, and that's the thing. The simpler ones do take practice. Repetition is the mother of skill. Thank you, Tony Robbins, you man, mountain, gorgeous, enlightened being, whatever. Moving along. The simple and magic spells. Simple need not imply easy. I learned that originally from the Course in Miracles. I doubt it was the first place that was ever said, but it is true. Forgive everybody. Oh, okay, 2 words. Right? Love yourself. Oh, great, thanks, right? Simple, not easy. So repetition is the mother of skill. This is self-esteem, self-love, and is a verb. It is a verb, as well as a noun, depending. Location, your perspective in the moment. Start with a clear premise and intent, right? That's the most important thing. What you want and why you want it. Element of fire. Intention is not just what you want. We can be vague. I'm really happy. That's a dwarf, honey. That's one of the 7, right? And the 7 deadly sins and the 7 dwarves. I'm sure there's some overlap. Obviously, sloth and sleepy have a relationship. But, you know, what you want is the caboose. Why you want it is the motivator. It's the inspiration. It's the engine, right? So to be really honest with yourself about a simple spell, like sometimes it's just, I just want a good parking spot. Why? Because it would be easier, right? It would be simpler to just have a good parking spot. That's what I mean, that kind of stuff. So start with a clear premise and intent. And add tools, carriers, touchstones as desired, if at all. You know, herbs, right? The whole vegetable kingdom, plants, incense, oils, stones, any of that stuff. If you want, right? I like calling them touchstones or carriers. They're a touchstone, like a reminder. Right, like, oh, like this is the ring of Aphrodite. It's an Alexandrite. It's got a long history in my life, going back to the early 90s. I've had it for a very, very long time, buried it in the earth for a year and a day to purify it of all past connections and energies. And so I blessed it with Aphrodite. Does that mean she lives in the ring? This is not Green Lantern. Well, in this case, Alexandrite lantern, which sounds like fun. No, it's a touchstone. It's a totem, right? Like a pin number, a symbolic thing I can just put on my heart and like, oh, there she is. She's always there, yeah? A reminder, like a string around your finger or whatever. So that's fun. The only tool I am using for this working is a pre-anointed tea light, white tea light candle, and I anointed it with dragon's blood oil. No dragons were harmed in the making of this dragon's blood. It wasn't even, it's a palm tree resin. Used to burning it, but from Foxcraft, we're going back a long time. I don't even know they're still in business. Foxcraft dragon's blood oil, just a drop or two in the tea light. Give it a nice little clockwise stir, a little swirl, so the oil kind of anointed the candle. And we're just going to light that now as the solo point of just for magical focus, and of course for the one candle, first house, and cardinal fire. Aries, the working sacred space. I'll do that in a minute. Yeah, I'm going to read you the spell so that you know what you're getting into. I don't like surprises, right? Like doing a workshop and then all of a sudden, here you got a sign in your blood. It's like, no, not until my lawyer looks at it. A simple spell for self. Let me read it once through and then I'll go over it just to point some things out. So, for happiness, wealth, love, and health, I cast this simple spell for self. With hand on heart, or fill in the blank, stone, crystal, whatever, or a stone in hand, with firm I love you, I now stand for the well-being of all and with harm to none, as I will it, so let it be done. And you say, I love you 3 times. I love you, I love you, I love you, to your own heart. Right? So mote it be. So let's break it apart. This isn't that complex. For happiness, wealth, love, and health. If you want it to rhyme, just make sure that line ends with something that rhymes with self. Otherwise, it's completely plug-in. I tweaked it so that it is 8 syllables per line because I am a Virgo. I studied poetry structure for a very long time in this and other lives. So I get a little tweaky when things are little like that. It's a Virgo thing. Little grain of sand in there. It gets to me a little bit. I'm working on it. Ho'oponopono and all. Right? So for happiness, wealth, love, and health are the ones I'm shooting for. I cast this simple spell for self. Clear intention. General, but clear. With hand on heart, or you can absolutely say with hand and heart and stone in hand. But that's what frees you. That's the clause. It's like you don't have to have anything in your hand to do it. Hand on heart or stone in hand. With firm, I love you, I now stand, right? So I'm standing firm with I love you, and I love you, and Ho'oponopono is the great healer, is the great, all you need is love. True love conquers all. Love is the answer. What the fuck's the question? It doesn't matter. Love is the answer. We know this, and yes, it is cliche as fuck. However, that's the mind. That's how the ego sees it. The soul knows that to be true, and with some practice, you bypass the mind, and you go into the experience of that sacred truth. Love is divine power, sacred truth of the heart chakra. Carolyn Mace, MYSS PhD. She's a PhD. Brilliant book, Anatomy of the Spirit, the heart chakra chapter. But that is the ultimate spell that we can cast for ourselves, is for love. Not so much from the outside, from the outside in, but from the inside out, right? And for the inside to the inside, your own personal frequency of heart chakra vibe, whatever you want to call it. So let's just do this. I'm psyched. Candle's already lit. I do not have to. I'm not doing the purification of the fire, the earth, the air, and the water, but I am going to do 2 spells of sacred space. One that I've done in this kind of way before here, recorded for Patreon and elsewhere. But then a golden oldie that has always been a friend of mine. Please take a nice deep breath. Still point. Here we go. In this time and in this place, I now do conjure sacred space. Water and earth, air and fire, combine to transform and inspire. Align us with divine desire, our highest work we now require. Elements guide so that we may be on our paths and on them stay. We ask you now, show us the way, what the true heart desires this day. Oh, Lady High, draw her down. O consort bright. Illumine this magic with your light. For the well-being of all, and with harm to none, as we will it. So let it be done. So motivate. And so it is. Let's go right into casting it. Like I said, if you want to cleanse and consecrate and empower an object to do this, that's great. Pause it. Do it. Come right back. It's a very self-serve kind of viberino here, huh? Yeah, let's do the spell. Now, I don't need the phone for this part because I have it written in what I've come to call my Book of Ariel, my Book of Archangel Ariel, because everything that's written in here either came from Archangel Ariel or I was nudged by Archangel Ariel to write it down, so I did. A simple spell for self. So here's the way we're going to do this, because it's easier to build up to it than to just thwack away at it first shot. We're going to say it 3 times. The third time we will say it all the way through, so the first 2 times not all the way through so much. So we'll say for happiness, wealth, love, and health, I cast this simple spell for self. With hand on heart, I'm going to say or stone in hand. Well, I will have this in my hand then. So, and stone in hand. With firm I love you, I now stand. And that'll be the end of the first time of it, right? Because then we want to do that the first time, just to say it, right? To feel the words in your mouth. Second time, put your heart into it a little bit. Love is divine power, right? Get that cardinal fire moving through you a little bit. The third time we will go all the way through past with hand on heart and stone in hand, with firm I love you, I now stand for the well-being of all, with harm to none, as I will it, so let it be done. My standard loophole tagline. And then you say I love you 3 times. It's very Ho'oponopono, it's very Makan, whatever arises, love that. It's kind of ancient, it's been done in different languages, in Sanskrit and all of that, Raja Yoga, the whole 9, right? So we'll say I love you, I love you, I love you, just 3 times, and then so mote it be. And again, are the words important? It helps direct, right? It helps focus, particularly the element of air, thought, but nonetheless allows us to let the words float on top of the energy. And that's what I'm up for. Are you? Let's find out. Please get yourself comfortable in a position you can stay in for just a couple of minutes. This is not going to take long, but you can have some power to it. Breathe. And something easily repeatable with or without magical tool. Just check in with the body, right? The more relaxed you are, the more the energy can flow through. Sometimes when it gets intense, it's okay to tense up to focus, but you can breathe through all of that. All right. Focus on your breath. Cardinal air of Libra, stoking, feeding, Aries cardinal fire. You play with the words as we go, the plugins as needed. And here we go. Round 1, inhale. For happiness, wealth, love, and health, I cast this simple spell for self. With hand on heart and stone in hand, with firm I love you, I now stand. Breathe. Just breathe. Felt that. We're gonna do it a little bit deeper. Just repeat after me. Inhale. for happiness, wealth, love, and health. I cast this simple spell for self. With hand on heart and stone in hand. With firm I love you, I now stand. Breathe. Take a few. Breathe it through. All the way through. Inhale. Here we go. For happiness, wealth, love, and health. I cast this simple spell for self. With hand on heart and stone in hand. With firm I love you, I now stand. For the well-being of all and with harm to none. As I will it, so let it be done. I love you. I love you. I love you. So would it be. And so it is. Breathe. Just let it move through you. Be the breath. And relax. Still point. Nice timing sound effects of the divine plan. That was very, very powerful. Pausing that crackling right at that moment. That was good. Thank you. How you feel? And that's why all I have to do is be wearing one or all of these pieces of jewelry that I got in front of me. The totems of the sign of Aries, my gods and goddesses there, and just like, whatever. So let's take a moment. I'm not going to loose you back out into the world with this vibe completely ungrounded. We will do a closing prayer, meditation, blessing thingy, right? My patrons are certainly used to this. They get this at the end of every live stream that I do, just a little something, something to ground you, right? Because it's easy enough to go up into the higher altitudes of vibration. It's coming down, and how much do you remember and take with you to actually incarnate into your life? That's why it's called a practice, not a perfect. So, one last time, I'll put up the music again in the picture. You know how I do. Please take a nice deep breath. Because now we've cast for self-care. We've cast the spell for the self. The higher self, the lower self, the inner self, the outer self, the shadow self, all of it. Doesn't matter. It's all one. On a spectrum of vibration and level of consciousness, so still point. And here we go. As I call once again upon our collective pantheons of the divine, whatever we may call them, as I call them, my guides, masters, teachers, gods, goddesses, saints, angels, totems, healers, ancestors, higher selves, all the way back to source. Thank you so very much for surrounding and protecting this work, and anyone watching it at any time they're watching it in that force field of light, containing and protecting the work that we did, that the information and energy that exchanged between us did so clearly, cleanly, and for the well-being of all. And that we were able, with a simple premise and a couple of rhyming couplets, initiate some stuff. Because when the moon rides at her peak, then ye heart's desires seek. And a spell for ourselves that we can call upon maybe every day for the rest of our lives. Easy to remember, touchstone or not. I'm grateful for the inspiration, because when I woke up this morning, I had no idea what we were doing. So thank you also for using me, for making me the channel of guidance, grace, love, wisdom, and power. And you sent me in to be in this life, for shining the light for me at full capacity, so that I may receive my abundance. Right? Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. And thank you for the abundance of love, your guidance, your grace, your kindness, your compassion, your closeness, your understanding for all of us here in the game. Thank you. And may everyone who's watching this video and everybody who's watching who's watching this video be blessed with all that they need moving forward to manifest their own paradise, planet Earth, heaven on earth. Happy hunting grounds, Valhalla revisited, whatever. A world of unity, a place of joy, a place of peace, a place where miracles never cease. For the well-being of all, and with harm to none. As we will it. So let it be done. So let it be. Thank you. Here we go. Yeah, my inner child's happy. My inner child is very highly oxygenated right now, so of course my inner child is very happy. Thank you so much, my patrons, on patreon.com. See you in the morning. I might have a little bit of a magic hangover. It's a Monday. We'll see. I'm starting the romantic soulmate reads, contract reads with extendeds. We'll see. But certainly, if you want to come play, if you're seeing this elsewhere than Patreon, please do consider signing up. We're having such a good time there. Just click the link. Look what I'm offering. $5 a month gets you a lot. And come the 28th, the anniversary of me being on Patreon, I think I'm adding 2 new tier subscriptions. You can always shift it whenever you want. So thank you so much for watching. I love you. Blessed full moon, or whenever you're watching this in Aries, new moon, Uranus retrograde. I hear they have a cream for that. I love you. Whoa, forgot about that. Have a good one. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.